snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is the first one in the Dresden Files. This is Stormfront and it's by Jim Butcher. I read Jim Butcher's Codex Illyria series, the first 3 I have read, and I intend to finish that one up this year, that series. There are 6 books in it. This one I believe has like 13, 14 books, quite a lot, so it's a really long running series. But this one is urban fantasy, whereas the Codex Illyria is high fantasy. I was really intrigued to get into this and give it a go. I haven't read an awful lot of urban fantasy, but I definitely like the idea of it, and I want to get more into it, so yeah, let's talk about this one. This is the story of Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden is a wizard detective. He is part of a world where people know that wizards exist, but no one really believes in magic. No one really accepts that they're a part of society. Basically, everyone pretends that they aren't a thing, even though Harry Dresden advertises himself in the sort of yellow pages of that world and things like that. Unfortunately, people still kind of disbelieve that magic's a thing, and a lot of the magicians in this world don't really openly practice, so he's the only one who sort of openly practices magic. This definitely felt more like a crime noir than it did a fantasy to me at times. Even though there are magical elements, we get to see sort of pixies and fairies, we also get to see the High Council of Magic and things like that, and obviously Harry himself is a magician. We also get to see sort of talking heads and creepy enchantments and love potions, and all sorts of craziness happens. So there is definitely magic, but to me this felt more like a crime sort of thriller, a crime noir story, a detective story, whatever you want to call it, as opposed to a fantasy. It felt more like a crime with added fantasy features than it did a fantasy with added crime. I don't read an awful lot of crime. In fact, I really don't read crime. And I tend to find that when I do read it, I want the story and the mystery to be really, really interesting, whereas I felt like the mystery of this one was a bit lacking. Even though I didn't particularly instantly guess the ending, I did guess aspects of the ending, and I guessed sort of how the story was going to play out. So it wasn't completely original. A lot of people have said that the first 3 books, I believe it is, you know, take a little while to get into with this series, but it gets amazing later on, so I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. The focus of the story is on the main character, Harry Dresden. He becomes involved in a few different mysteries that are going on. The first one revolves around 2 people who have been found dead in a very weird, creepy, sick kind of way. Possibly magical, we're not entirely sure, but probably magical. So they call in Harry, the police department and Harry sort of have a good relationship, or a decent relationship, so they call him in to check it out. And then he's also got his own company that he runs private investigations, and he gets a case through that as well to find a husband who has gone missing. So basically we have these 2 storylines, and of course they do slowly converge and we see links between the 2, and maybe things are connected but we're not really sure. I did enjoy it. I felt like it was a good, well-written book. It was interesting. Harry himself is a bit of a dick, I'm not gonna lie. He's pretty nasty as a character. He's definitely derogatory of women. Every woman he looks at, he kind of has some sexual thought about them. Whether he wants to have sex with them or not, he still has these sexual thoughts, and it was kind of disconcerting that he had that many sexual thoughts about women, and every woman he saw, even if he'd already seen them, he'd still comment on it in his head. So, I don't know, he was a little bit of a character who's, you know, he's easy to like, but he's also easy to dislike. I'm interested to see if that is something that changes over the course of the series, or if it's always the same. How that develops will certainly be interesting, but I read this with all of the others in my buddy reading group, and we all kind of agreed that he was a little bit derogatory towards women. Even if it was unintentional, or that's a sort of stereotype of the crime noir, it was still there and it was still kind of prevalent. He was definitely the fairly typical detective type, sort of grumpy. He didn't really like to get up early, he didn't really feel that motivated all the time, single, all that sort of stuff, all that stereotypical good stuff. So even though I felt like this was a decent book, it wasn't anything standout, it wasn't anything amazing, but I do want to continue on with the series because I've heard it gets great, and I know that some of the later books have been nominated for like Hugo Awards and various other things, so I do want to continue on. I do actually own a lot of the other books in the series, so I'm hoping that I will be able to get to it very, very soon. I think our plan is to read 2 of them a month until we finish it, so hopefully we can get through it pretty quick, maybe by the end of this year. One of the elements I did like seeing in this book was the supernatural side of things. Whenever we did get a fantastical thing, that was interesting to me, obviously because crime isn't the sort of genre that I love to read, whereas fantasy is definitely the genre that I love to read. It's definitely the genre that I enjoy the most. So I really like seeing the way that we had the fairies and things in this world, or pixies. It was really, really cool to read about them and the relationship that Harry had with them. I also liked the fact that we had sort of the backstory slowly got revealed. We got snippets of Harry's past, and I feel like that's something that's going to be developed a lot over the series. We're going to find out a lot more about him. At the moment we don't know a whole bunch about him, but over the course of this book we do get hints at various things he might have done or he might have been involved in that are kind of nefarious or not that great, so I'm really interested in finding out more about him. In the end, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was decent, but it wasn't mind-blowing. The mystery aspect wasn't brilliant. I feel like because this is his first foray into urban fantasy, it makes sense that it would only be a 3-star book. And I'm definitely looking forward to reading book number 2 and all the rest in the series, and hopefully my ratings will steadily go up as I get further through. So if you've read this series, definitely let me know your thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear what you guys think about the series. If you love it, if you hate it, let me know, because I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat about the